Welcome to another episode of Global Gurus Thought Leadership in 15 Minutes, where we ask some of the world's thought leaders, speakers, and consultants 3 questions. What's the biggest challenge you see in the world right now? What is original methodology you have that you built and makes you a guru? And how are you applying that to achieve measurable results? So I'm here today with Laura Gassner-Otting and Arthur Carmazzi. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, Mark. Hi, Laura.
Hello.
All right, Arthur, what's the biggest problem you see in the world right now? We'll start with the softball question.
All right. People are bored shitless with their jobs, man. That's the biggest problem. You know, they go to work and it's kind of like a tedious thing. It's like, and they try to do their best sometimes, but then, the environment or the bureaucracy. And so most people are underperforming. So this is the biggest problem that I see.
Okay, so that's true. We know that workforce engagement is the highest it's ever been, and it's only 23% or something, which is pretty sad. So what is the original methodology that you've built to solve this problem? Get us out of our boredom.
Exactly, right? So first of all, the whole idea of gamification in general is measurement, right? Now, if you actually notice that most companies do have performance measurement, the only problem is it's boring as shit, right? So then, what ends up happening is that people end up not being excited about their performance measurement and sometimes even have anxiety. But what if you can turn that into something cool and fun and understand the foundation of how people act and react to each other in groups so that you're able to create a gamified environment where people understand how they react, okay, with certain people, and they are actually able to make small little modifications in order to create group dynamics that support being their better self. For example, okay, you probably have some friends, right?
I have some friends. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Mark? Do you have friends? Let me just check it.
Friends.
Okay, that's good. All right. Now, see, when you're with one group of friends, you'll probably notice that your behavior is different with that group of friends than maybe it is at work, or maybe it is with a different group of friends, right? You're not trying to be different. It's just that you are different because of the group dynamics. Each of these people bring out different facets of who you are. And you've been there, right? Where there's those people that no matter how hard you try, they just drive you insane, right? So what you want to be able to do is understand why these people are driving you insane, why it is that you can't be the best person in this group, but you can in this other group. And so we've created predictable models that are able to be gamified in order to understand how and why you underperform, and how and why, and the little how and whys that you can modify to fix it, and how we can create behavior modification that you control and do it in a fun and change your environment in a fun way.
So, Arthur, I know you're recognized widely as the #1 global guru in organizational culture. And what you're saying is you take gamification and you're bringing it into businesses. That's how you go about solving this, how we show up in different groups and how we can optimize ourselves and our teams.
Well, the gamification is only one element, right? But the thing is that it's an entire body of work, right? When people understand why this person is making them crazy, and they realize it's not really about the person, it's about certain elements of group dynamics, certain psychology. And then you start to look at yourself and you go, oh, I'm kind of an asshole too sometimes. And then you kind of go and you start looking at how these things are putting together, and you become a better version of yourself when you work with other people who also are trying to achieve the same thing. And all of this, of course, the gamification element simply is the tool to help you more easily achieve the level of person you need to become. But before any of that happens, you have to have the understanding, the foundation of the psychology. You have to understand why you do what you do and how what you do is affecting other people. And when you understand that, when you have that foundation, that awareness, now that creates a completely different perspective when you're trying to design the behaviors that you want to do in order to create the environment that'll help you be the better version of yourself.
Okay, so this is very interesting to me because I spend a lot of time thinking about the same question and about this question of what actually defines happiness and success for us. And for me, I hear what you're saying about being a better version of yourself. And then I wonder, like, doesn't everyone define that differently? So if you're somebody who says the best version of myself earns all the money in the world, or you say the best version of myself figures out the cure to cancer and, clothes children and feeds the poor, isn't that incentivizing different behaviors? So when we're trying to figure out the best version, how do we get there together as a culture?
So first of all, what you're talking about there, the cure cancer versus be the wealthiest person, those are outcomes. Okay. Now, if you actually think about it, all right, now, and let's just look at some of the research. Okay. So one of the key things that we ask is, what is your ideal working environment? Now, do you believe that out of the masses of cultures and people and education levels and everything, are we going to get different answers or very similar answers? What is your belief?
I actually think we probably get similar answers.
You are absolutely correct. You got it right, Laura. Okay.
It's almost like I spent time thinking about this too.
So what happens is that, yes, we ask this question. There's 5 basic things. I mean, we use a gamified tool called CBC cards that help people to get more clarity through pictures. And so number 1, teamwork. Okay, people want to be, teamwork, right? Then number 2 is something related to trust. Either be trusted with my autonomy, or be, make sure that I trust people to be accountable. Okay. And the other thing is clarity, something that is, in the ideal working environment, I need to be clear. How can I succeed? How can I, get to where I want to go, whether it's cure cancer or whether it is, be the wealthiest person around. Okay. And the other thing, of course, is a supportive environment. Okay. Am I in a place where I can actually do the things that I need to do to succeed for myself and the organization? Okay. And the final one is, I want to have fun. Okay. And so by understanding this and by helping people to figure it out themselves, you can't just tell them, because then they won't believe you, right? So when you help them to figure it out themselves, and then you show them the different ways that they can understand how to create that ideal working environment that they control, and then they get to fix their problems within the organization that are preventing them from having all of these things. And so now they're excited. Why? Because they own the culture. It's not about like, oh, I get to, work harder. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I can be more successful if I do this. I mean, wow, people don't join jobs so that they can go, oh, I just get a paycheck. People want to be successful in their jobs until it becomes a paycheck.
Arthur, I'm curious. One of the things you talked about was this idea of how people experience you, and how often your interactions with others, or your problems you have, some issues you might face, that you see them as their problem, or you see them as, okay, if I'm always in the same room, who's always there? It's me. How hard is it to get people to see others as a way of kind of being a mirror that says, well, what is it in me that makes this irritate me? Because it might not others. That's a big leap for anyone in an individual relationship or a cultural relationship. What do you experience there, and how do you get people past that?
Well, actually, I'm glad that you brought that up. That's one of the key things that we help people to do is see the thing is that, like you said, okay, no matter where you go, there you are. All right. So what happens is that when you understand that that you are in control, okay, that basically all of the bad stuff that's happening is your fault as well as the good stuff. But the best part is that you are in control. That means that you are able to make the small modifications to create that better working environment. And that, again, goes back to awareness. Okay. If you know how to flip the switch, you know how to turn on the lights. But no matter where I can see the lights, but I don't know where the switch is. Doesn't matter. You can't turn on the lights. Okay. So the first thing is give them the understanding of where the switch is and how to flip it, and then make it fun.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's studies that show that people will take jobs that give them more control, more autonomy versus jobs that give them more power. So yeah, teaching them where that light is, where the switch is, I think is super helpful. Are there experiences that you find where people say, now that I figured out what I want, it doesn't fit where I am anymore, and so I need to do something different? Or is that where all of the people wanting the same sort of culture works out in the end?
No. I mean, yes, there are that has happened on occasion, but there's also another. Let me just give you one example. There was a public program that I did once, and a couple went in there. The wife was an accountant. The husband worked for Motorola as a engineer, and they were literally on the verge of divorce. Okay. And after they started to understand why, specifically why the husband was driving the wife crazy, and the and the husband was trying to figure stuff out, but he just couldn't really. And once they figured this out, once they understood all these little things that they were doing that were assumed, okay, and they started to understand each other really well. He quit his job in Motorola, and he and his wife started an online jewelry store, and it was very successful. And they went on a second honeymoon, and like 2 years later, they sent me all these pictures of how great they're doing and stuff. I mean, it's little things like that it's not only about just work; it's also about the people that you're with.
And it does mean that a leader has to put down some of the narcissistic tendencies. I once asked a therapist, how do you treat narcissists? And he's like, well, they don't often come to me for treatment, right? So if you're a leader and, your job as a leader is to talk more, right? To have all the answers, you don't tend to do a ton of listening. So you must have to do some behavioral modification and some sort of come to Jesus conversations with these leaders to be like, listen, I know you think you're great, but let me tell you some tough news.
Well, I mean, okay, so we have a culture change initiative. It's an implementation program, okay, and it has 4 criteria for this to work. All right, and one of the criteria is that senior management must be involved. We went to one and they said, yes, we want you to do this stuff, but we don't have time. You guys, you do our people, you fix them. And I told them it would work. And well, we didn't get the job because they didn't want to be involved. So they have to be involved, and they have to. And one of the key things is that they have to be in a situation where they are coached by their lowest subordinates, right? Okay, and brought into this whole awareness thing and everything else. And then the other one, of course, one of the other key things is that there are negative influencers in your organization. Okay, there's positive influencers. Those are the people that we work with to change the organization. We don't look for change agents, those excited, annoying people that everybody says, oh yes, it's the excited people, and like, okay, it's kind of like an insurance salesman telling you to change your culture. Okay, so we're not looking for those people. We're looking for the quiet secretary that everybody respects because she gets stuff done for them, or the guy that's always making jokes and making people laugh even though shit's going on that's not really fun. Okay, and so all of these people that people respect and trust, those are the key influencers. Those are the people that you get. Okay, and so anyway, that's where that's where we go.
Okay, so in the last few seconds, Arthur, tell us where people can find you.
People can find me at Well, you look me up on Google, Arthur Carmazzi, or you can go to Carmazzi, CARMAZZI.net. I have dyslexia, so when I see things, it's kind of like messed up. Okay, so that's one place to find me. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Arthur. Thank you, Laura. Thanks for joining this episode, Global Gurus Thought Leadership in 15 Minutes. See you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.